You know those movies that are so bad that they're actually pretty good? Well, put those to the side, because I think that there's some sort of hierarchy at play here. The topic of today's review is somewhat of a different breed. Think Men in Black with more stoner comedy vibes minus the drug use, plus a little bit of the X-Files sprinkled in. I think that pretty much encompasses Evolution. Evolution is a 2001 science fiction comedy film directed by Ivan Reitman. It centers around two college professors trying to investigate the site of a meteorite landing with the intention of furthering their careers. Chaos ensues with much hilarity, of course. I first watched this film as a kid, and I remember finding it entertaining if not mildly confusing. I then rewatched it last summer when it aired on TV along with the subject of another upcoming review. Stay tuned for that one, everyone. Evolution received mixed reviews at the time of its release, especially as Reitman was and is known for directing Ghostbusters, with co-writer David Diamond calling it slightly underappreciated in its time. Despite this, the film has gone on to amass a cult following, and I do agree that while imperfect, it probably does deserve more recognition. But is that fair to say? Let's find out. Without further ado, on with the review.
Polos is life, 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 sleep all night and then Polos is life.
The film opens with a meteorite hurtling towards Earth, similar to the opening scene in Monsters vs. Aliens. Next, it cuts to one of our protagonists, Wayne Gray, played by Seann William Scott, who's a firefighter in training. Scott has appeared on the channel before, as he voiced Skiff in Planet 51. Wayne attempts to prepare for his firefighting exam the following day by placing a dummy inside a shed and setting it on fire, in the hopes that he'll be able to rescue the dummy and put the fire out in time. What could go wrong? I don't think I have to explain that setting a random shed on fire likely breaks some laws and is just plain dangerous. But I suppose that we can forgive him considering that he also just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The following day, our lead protagonist, a community college professor named Dr. Ira Kane, is giving a lecture where his students are receiving their grades back from a report that they were assigned. Ira Kane is played by David Duchovny, who is probably best known for his role as Fox Mulder in The X-Files. Ira tells his students that they got A's for the most part, but two brothers, Deke and Danny, ask why they only got C-minuses. Ira elaborates, in front of everyone, that the brothers wrote the same paragraph for their report, explaining that they think cells are bad because their uncle lives in one. Something tells me that they're not referring to the correct type of cell there. I also felt a little bad for them as that is a bit embarrassing, but they seem pretty chuffed. Professor Harry Phineas Block, a geologist who's Ira's friend and co-worker, heads to the site of the meteor crash from the night before, and takes Ira with him. Harry is played by Orlando Jones, who I recognise from the Bedazzled remake and The Vampire's Assistant. Wayne is still at the crash site, is late for his exam, and keeps getting funny looks from people about the dummy he's with.
You know, I'm still a little fuzzy on what you're doing there in the middle of the night.
Yeah, with Betty Lou here.
When going to collect a sample to study, Harry and Ira stumble upon three police officers, one of whom is played by Tenacious D's Kyle Gass, posing and taking photographs with the meteor. As one does, I guess. Once the impromptu photo shoot concludes, Ira notes that substances are already growing on the rock despite only a few hours passing. When Harry begins to chip into it, the meteor bleeds an unknown fluid. As far as we know, rocks generally don't bleed, so this unnerves the pair even more. Harry goes to attend to his secondary line of work, a woman's volleyball coach, while Ira conducts a spectroscopic analysis on the sample they gathered. To his surprise, Ira finds live cells undergoing mitosis, at such a rate that the sample is visibly growing and breaks the slide. I honestly wouldn't know what to do in this scenario. I'd probably just call my brother and ask him what the hell I'm supposed to do. While it is conveyed through 2000 CGI, the mitosis here doesn't look so bad, and it's clearly based on what real-world examples look like under a microscope. Ira also finds that the base pair sequence in the sample consists of 10 base pairs, which shouldn't be the case as all known life on Earth has 4. I think you can all see where this film is going. The following morning, the cells have evolved from single-cell organisms to multicellular organisms, and while Harry is excited about the prospect of a Nobel Prize, Ira appears concerned about the rapid rate of the aliens' progress. Meanwhile, Wayne is failing his exam as he's falling asleep on the job. Ah well, it seems his nocturnal adventure caught up to him. In a highly risky move, Ira and Harry take Harry's geology class on a field trip to collect the meteorite, only to find the entire cavern now covered in fungi. One of Harry's students, Nadine, notes that she feels something moving, revealing that the floor is covered in flatworms, which turn out to be allergic to the oxygen in the atmosphere. Don't worry, this won't last. Later, Nadine also observes that the worms are splitting, suggesting that the aliens reproduce asexually due to their fast rate of evolution.
No time for sex.
Bummer.
Wayne, now resigned to continuing his job as the pool boy at the local country club, discovers hundreds of worms along with some kind of jump-scare-inducing fish creature in the pool's pressurizer tank. He just sort of blows this off like a normal occurrence, and I feel like he should have had a stronger reaction. That thing was very aggressive and didn't look like your standard fishy friend. Also, I get that he hates his job, but he really should be doing something about the state of the pool's hygiene. To the surprise of literally no one, the military shows up to the site of the meteor crash, and almost stops Harry and Ira from being allowed in. While waiting for approval, a soldier approaches Ira, preparing to shoot him and shouting about how he's responsible for the worst month of his life. The soldier is apprehended and Ira claims to not know what he was talking about. Someone's got a mysterious backstory that's gonna be revealed. General Woodman, our secondary antagonist and head of US Army research, greets Ira warmly. Ira admits to Harry that he used to work with Woodman before becoming a college professor. Woodman then confesses that he discovered the meteorite by monitoring Ira's computer, which, although not surprising, is definitely a concern. Are we just gonna sweep that under the rug, people? Okay. We are finally introduced to our tetragonist, if you will, Dr. Alison Reed, portrayed by Julianne Moore. She's the senior researcher in epidemiology at the CDC, and doesn't quite appreciate Ira's unorthodox methods. Long story short, Ira and Harry get kicked out, and it's revealed in court that Ira was discharged from the military after an anthrax vaccine he developed had numerous side effects. When Harry and Ira return to work, they discover that the military has ransacked their lab, so they sneak into the new research base in disguise.
I don't have anything on my schedule.
Maybe it's the guys from Sector 12 doing a nocturnal specimen run. You know how those guys are.
The pair realise that the meteor site has now transformed into a rainforest, teeming with various creatures, one of whom they intend to capture. Their designs are interesting, to say the least. The CGI hasn't exactly aged well. I don't believe any of the aliens are actually there on set, but I can appreciate the imagination behind it. Alison is called over to the monitor and overhears Ira and Harry mocking her, prompting her to go downstairs to apprehend the two. While Ira and Alison argue about whether the military is responsible for the original robbery, a mosquito tears a hole in Harry's suit and manages to enter his body.
Cut him open, let's get this thing.
Cut me open! There goes your Christmas gift, shooter!
That line did make me laugh. It's such a clinical response to the scenario. In short, they have to remove the alien bug via his digestive tract. That's the nicest way I can put it for YouTube. The film is characterized by this kind of grotesque biological humor, and this scene will be referenced later on. Wayne works as a server at a Hawaiian party taking place at the country club that evening, and the owner, Barry, goes on a date by the lake with a woman also attending the party. Yeah, he spills some champagne on his trousers and ends up finding something not so nice in the water. Or it finds him. His would-be date alerts the rest of the partygoers, and Wayne tries his best to look disappointed. On the flip side, Allison doesn't tell on Harry and Ira, so there's that. Remembering those two from the meteor crash site, Wayne takes the crocodile-like thing to the university after it dies in a sand trap, and there are other alien appearances popping up around the neighborhood. The second half of the film really strongly reminds me of Ghostbusters, starting from here onwards. After flirting with Allison, Ira joins Harry and Wayne at a cafe, only to bump into his ex-girlfriend Denise, played by Sarah Silverman. Ira complains to Denise's cop companion that Denise still hasn't returned some shirts that she took from him, but this ordeal is interrupted when the cop gets a call about the previous animal attack. I like that Sam, the cop, is one of the cops from earlier. It's a nice way to link the whole story while revealing aspects of Ira's backstory. Wayne alerts the professors to an area close by that's full of dinosaur-like aliens, who seem to be travelling through a cave system under the city. Worse yet, it appears that the aliens are trying to adapt to Earth's atmosphere, meaning that the general public won't be safe for very long.
Mazel tov, it's a boy.
What the hell we gonna do now?
Yeah, as I was saying, not safe for long. The nasty alien bird, for lack of a better term, attacks a shopping centre and ends up picking up an unsuspecting girl. Our three heroes come to the rescue.
Step back, Harry. I'm gonna shoot him.
No, stand down. I'm gonna kill this one myself.
By singing to it, which actually ends up working. Go Wayne! This allows Harry to grab the girl, while Ira shoots the bird. Dan Aykroyd appears as Governor Lewis, which I find particularly amusing as he had to play opposite a similar character as Ray in Ghostbusters. Meanwhile, General Woodman plans to evacuate the area and burn the aliens with napalm, despite having no clue how they might react to such an attack. Again, it's giving Walter Peck. The planning is interrupted when the group realizes that the aliens have started evolving into primates and are taking over the military base. The apes begin to attack, and the practical suits are pretty cool here. Wayne ends up shooting the ape to save Ira, and the governor gives the okay on the napalm plan. This annoys Allison enough to join Ira's group and return their stolen samples. Understandable. Once returning to the lab, Ira notes that the original sample hasn't evolved, and can't think why. Harry, who has suddenly taken up smoking, tries to throw a lit cigarette towards the sink, but hits the sample instead, causing it to grow uncontrollably. The secret catalyst is heat, which actually makes sense given that the meteor had to travel through Earth's atmosphere, and the film is set in Arizona. The prospects for Woodman's plan really aren't looking good on the other hand. Deke and Danny arrive to give the group some beers ahead of the evacuation, and Ira theorizes that the aliens' equivalent of arsenic is selenium, as we're carbon-based and they're nitrogen-based. To his surprise, Deke and Danny offer to get selenium for them as it's the active ingredient in their favourite shampoo brand, Head & Shoulders. That's right people, we'll be saved by Head & Shoulders, and Deke and Danny finally get those A's. With 20 minutes of the film left to go, the group tries to get to the aliens ahead of the military, but they're too late. Woodman blows the site up, causing a giant alien monster to burst out of the ground. Once more, definitely getting Stay Puft Marshmallow Man vibes here. With it preparing to divide, our characters are running out of time. They find a point of attack, and Harry enacts his revenge using the Head & Shoulders. Should I be censoring this? Anyways, this makes our alien very unwell, and it explodes. The film ends with the scientists being rewarded by Governor Lewis, starring in a Head & Shoulders advert, and Wayne even gets to become a fireman. Evolution. What did I think of it overall? I think, on the whole, I did enjoy the film. One thing that really stuck out to me on my rewatch is definitely the film's special effects. It utilises both practical effects and CGI, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you should have an idea of which I prefer. I like emphasising how much work goes into making a film, even aspects that I don't think worked out, so I want to note the different effects companies that worked on Evolution. According to Cinema.com, around 80% of the film's visual effects were conducted by Tippett Studios, including sketches of the aliens, renderings, and computer animations. Other studios utilised the designs by Tippett Studios, such as PDI/DreamWorks, who created the meteor sequence at the beginning of the film, as well as the cellular organisms that were seen undergoing mitosis. It's funny that I compared that first scene to the one in Monsters vs. Aliens, as that film is also by DreamWorks. I wonder if they referenced the scene while making it. Sony Pictures Imageworks also contributed by animating the flatworms. In terms of practical effects, Amalgamated Dynamics created the ape alien prosthetics, and KNBFX made the dead alien props like the dead flatworms and dog creature. In this article, Reitman is stated as saying that Tippett Studios is able to create a sense of weight and real space in the creatures they work on, and I feel like while I don't believe the CGI creatures are there, their motions paired with the audio design do give them a sense of stability. You can definitely tell when something is CGI versus practical though, although I find that this is generally the case in films made now too. Another aspect of the film that stands out to me is its sense of humour. The line delivery is very much Reitman's style, and certain parts made me laugh out loud, like the shopping centre scene, even though I've seen it before. Not all of the jokes quite landed for me, and certain ideas are a bit lowbrow and grotesque. I've never been able to see a bottle of Head & Shoulders the same way. The film ending with the monster exploding is fitting, if not familiar. If you've seen Ghostbusters, you'll recognise a lot of the same story beats. 4 unusual misfits, one of which isn't from the same scientific background as the others, but still proves useful, manage to defeat an escalating, otherworldly threat despite the relevant government bodies not taking them seriously. I could be talking about either movie here, and I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. To me, Evolution is far enough removed from Ghostbusters to be enjoyable as a standalone film, as opposed to some kind of derivative. That being said, I've seen both movies numerous times, so I can't really ignore the parallels. The film's soundtrack also caught my attention pretty much every time I watched the film. The brass section in the song Anyway the Main Thing Is by Patty Larkin plays frequently throughout, and is extremely catchy, almost irritatingly so. It makes for quite the earworm. Not unlike its spiritual predecessor, Ghostbusters, Evolution did get a sequel in the form of an animated series shortly after its release. Alienators: Evolution Continues consisted of 1 season that ran from 2001 to 2002. This was also apparently followed by an animated film, but I couldn't find much information on that. I haven't seen any episodes, but it does appear to be aimed at a younger audience, unlike the live-action original. All in all, I can't deny that I'm a fan of Reitman's Evolution. Ghostbusters has always been a favourite of mine, and I love sci-fi, so it was kind of a given that I'd like this. While some of the comedic aspects are not for the faint of heart, and the effects are definitely a product of their time, I think it's a fun watch if you can look past those elements. Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.
The blue and green ones are my favorite kind, but I'll eat the colored ones from time to time. Cause Polos is life, 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 Polos is life. Sleep all night and then